everybody. Welcome to day 5 of Video a Day Debruary. This is our 5th annual event where we feature a guest or a topic every day for the 28 days of February. And it's all about winning at life. That's our theme for this month. So every conversation that we have and every guest is here to teach you how to change your life, change your thinking, change your behavior so that you become more of a winner. Okay? Today's guest is another Deb. Her name is Deb Porter. She says she's on a mission to Mr. Rogers the world through teaching and practicing confidential, compassionate listening. She's the founder and owner of HOLD, which is an acronym for Hearing Out Life Drama, a listening service that's less than a therapist, but outside the common circle of family, friends, and coworkers, which can get quite messy because then you have to deal with their emotions as well. But Deb's company makes sure that her team of listeners lightens your load. So let's welcome her to the show. Hey, Deb.
Hi, Deb. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so
grateful.
Excited for you to be here.
Thank you.
So did I say enough? I mean, is there anything else that you want to say about your work and your company that I didn't cover?
That was beautiful.
All
yeah,
right.
it's good.
Let's get started with the questions then. Okay, first of all, I have to get this out. When I was growing up, my grandfather used to tell us we talk too much. And he would say, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. Do you find that is in your work focusing on listening, that people do have a tendency to do that? They just want to talk and just be heard?
People definitely want to be heard. That's all anyone wants in life, really, to be heard and to know that they're seen and they are valued and they matter. Just so you know, I heard that a lot growing up too. I think it's very common. As children, unless we're specifically taught, how are we supposed to know how to listen? And we get to school and all of our teachers say, sit down, be quiet. But who really ever teaches us how to do that?
That is a good point. So you have this principle called CORE, and you want to talk about the core of listening. What does that mean?
So I was looking for an acronym so that people could remember. And so I came up with CORE because it's short, sweet, and hopefully to the point. So CORE stands for, first of all, center. The C is for center. When we're listening, we want to start from ourselves. People often think you start with the other person, and in a way that is important, you do that. But unless you're calm first, unless that's there, unless you're centered and really in yourself, you're not going to be able to hear someone else. It's just, you're going to miss. So being centered is the very first part of listening well, to start with you. Next, it's important to know the outcome. That's the O in CORE. What is the goal of this conversation? What do I hope to get at the end of it? So many people enter into a conversation and they go past each other because there's no defined hope in the conversation. And I think that when we're really listening, we want to know what we're hoping the outcome will be. Next, we want to relate. So here, we want to stay dialed in. So that means that we're not being distracted by our phones or another way that, right? I know.
Guilty.
Okay, and here's the thing. I'm guilty too. And I'm especially guilty when I start to get emotionally pulled off my center. As soon as I start to feel uncomfortable, as soon as there starts to be some discomfort, all of us want that distraction, right? We want something else to be able to put our attention on, so we're not feeling this, whatever this is, that we don't like, right?
You're feeling a panic.
Yeah, so we really have to work at that relating and to stay dialed in and to not get pulled off center, and because of that. Also, we want to empathize. So that's the E. So when we're listening, we really want to make sure we're hearing the other person and the feelings that are behind it. Right? We want to hold up a mirror basically to reflect back what it is that they're saying. We don't need to fix what they're saying. We just need to hear them and say, if that were me, I would do the same thing. I would feel the same way.
Kind of so validating what they're
exactly
saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Core.
All right. So what would you say are some traits, other than the ones that you just mentioned, but maybe are there some personality traits or other behavioral traits that make someone a good listener versus a poor listener?
I think that people who have been through trauma have a really hard time staying calm to be able to listen well. I think that in order to listen, we need to be able to dial in, and people who have experienced trauma, they get pulled so quickly that it's especially difficult for them.
Okay. So what about something like, I don't know, patience, um,
That, of
emotional
course,
maturity, maybe?
absolutely. Someone with ADHD is also going to have trouble staying focused to listen. Absolutely. Someone with autism who misses social cues, they're going to have trouble as well. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So what would you say? Okay, when you were talking about emotional regulation in some of the papers you sent. What is emotional regulation, and why is it something that we should strive to do when we're trying to listen?
Emotional regulation is, by definition, simply being in control. And so when we're in control of our emotions, we're able to listen. But if we're
Hmm.
feeling so much ourselves, it's really hard to stay focused on another person. So, for example, one of the examples that I use is, let's pretend I'm a mom and I'm at the park with my kids. This happened when I was had young children. That happened a lot, right? So my children would not want to leave the park, and so even though I would do my due parenting diligence and say, okay, in 5 minutes we're going to leave the park, 5 minutes would come, we would go, but then there would be the meltdown. I don't want to
Right.
leave the park, right? But we need to fix dinner, so making sure to get down on the child's level, making sure to make eye contact, and staying in control of your own emotion. That's what's going to help make that connection with a child, right? Even if they're spinning out of control, as soon as they pull you off, if you start to get angry, that's not better. then you've just missed, right? You have to stay calm in order to really connect. And so in that situation, getting down on eye level and saying, I hear you really wanted to stay at the park longer. I wish that was be something that we could do, but today we can't. Maybe we can talk about coming back tomorrow. But instead, right now we need to go home and fix dinner. That takes care of a need that you're going to have in a little while that you're maybe not even aware of, that I know it's my responsibility to take care of.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
So how would we do that in a I mean that makes sense. I see that. Can you give an example of how you might do that in an adult relationship when you guys are having a mm, less than fun time?
Relationships are hard. Any relationship is hard because there's the dynamic of two people. And so in order to really connect, if you're not calm yourself, you're not going to be able to really relate to the other person. So as soon as you start spinning yourself, as soon as you feel any emotion that's not regulated, right, that you're not in control, you really need to put a pause on the conversation and say, I'm upset right now. I'm happy to continue the conversation, but I need to be able to be calm in order to really hear you. So can we take a break for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however long, set a time, and then be sure to come back. That's really key.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Oh, if only I could train myself to do that.
Because if you just take a pause, hit the pause button, go for a walk, do something to calm yourself. As soon as you're calm, then you're able to hear the other person, right? Because then you're not projecting all of that stuff and that anger and all that stuff. It can just slow down, and you can start from where they are, which is tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling, let me hear you.
Well, that's good. You're so good, Deb. You just it just sounds so doable.
It is
Okay, so
doable.
what do
It
you
is doable
do?
with practice. Hmm.
Okay, I guess that is the key because I mean I'm much better now than I used to be as a youngster and just fly off the handle. But my temper's still bad. It's still pretty bad. And but I'm going to try that the next time I get upset. Try that and see if that works. And I was telling you before the show, before we started this interview, that's something I've noticed a lot, and it happens right here on this channel. Is we'll be talking about a situation or something that was said, something that happened, and some people will hear something completely different. It translates, they add like elements to the story that were not even discussed, but it came from their mind or something. So I wanted to ask you, when you have someone who does that kind of stuff, what kind of listening is that? And if you're the person who's on the receiving end of such behavior, is there anything that you can do to bring that person back to reality? Because they're off somewhere in a make believe land. It's just very interesting.
Yes, what's happened is they've made a story up about something that you've said, right? So what's going on in their head is Brene Brown talks a lot about this in her books. I would direct you that way if you haven't read any of her stuff. She's really eloquent about this piece. When somebody does that, the way I believe to get back is to simply be able to really slow down and say, when I said this, that made you feel this, and really check in.
Mm-hmm.
And did I get it right? You know, is this what you're experiencing from what I said? And then that's not what I meant. They may or may not be able to hear you. That's really hard, I think, sometimes in listening, is to know the only person we can ever control is ourselves. That's it. That's the only person we have control over. And so whatever filter somebody's running things through that we may have said in their mind, we can't control that. We can try and help them get to where we are, but we can only do that when we kind of set aside our ego and we slow down and say, well, let me reflect back what I heard from you, and then try and reiterate what you really meant.
Okay.
That takes a lot of work. It's hard work.
Okay, that makes total sense. Yeah, that's something that in my personal life and in my life here, that frustrates me when people do that. So thank you for that tip. I appreciate that. So you said you were calling about something called memory. You said that memory is the greatest gift. Can you
I know, right?
what does that mean?
So I had a very wise teacher. I used to think that our memory, because memory can be painful. It can really hurt. Somebody says something that really, if that pain is there, memory cannot feel like a very good thing. However, what I've learned is memory is our greatest gift, because when we make a mistake with someone in our communication and we know it, we have the ability to go back to them and say, do you remember when this happened? And you said this, and I said this, and we missed each other. What I wished I had said is, and then we have the ability to repair it. Our memory gives us that key to do the repair work. And that is really why it is the greatest gift.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So let's talk about, something that you would know because this is your line of work. What would you say are the maybe, I don't know, top 2 or 3 mistakes that people make when they're listening, well, they're supposed to be listening? What is it that they're doing other than really listening?
We're going to be having some blog posts actually in a series. There are 6 main ones, but I think 3 would be good to cover here.
Okay.
Just a really
we'll
quick
link to that once you get it up. Send me the link and I'll put it in your
Okay,
page. Okay.
Great, thanks. So one of the things is that a lot of times when somebody's sharing something really heavy, the listener will take it on themselves, and they'll begin feeling all of that emotion, and suddenly you have to make them feel better. For example, when my husband was ill, that would happen quite a lot. I would be talking about how difficult my life was, and people weren't able to just go, wow, that must be hard. Instead, they would get so flooded by the emotions of what I was sharing that then I would have to, I would feel that I needed to help make them better. And yeah, that's a big one. I would say the second top one is fixing, right? Sometimes we don't want somebody to offer us solutions. Sometimes we're not ready to problem solve. Sometimes we just need a listener. And when people jump in before we're actually ready for that problem solving, that can feel really uncomfortable too. What we want to do is wait until, when we're listening, until they've given the cue to us that Yeah, help me come up with some ideas here because I'm out, right? But when somebody starts the conversation with, I just need to vent, can you just hear me? Then really try to do that. I think as a society, we're learning to get better at that. We're learning to get better to name that outcome that we're hoping to get at the beginning of the
Name it
conversation.
up front. Yeah.
Name it up front. That's part of the reason why that outcome is so important in core, because otherwise you're going to get the problem solving when that wasn't what I wanted. Right? And I think another really big problem in listening is denial. So, for example, I'm talking about a problem that I have, and somebody go, "Oh, that's not really a big deal. You're good." And they'll just deny your reality instead of validating it. That's not helpful either.
Yes.
We all know when we've all had denial happen to us, right? They're like, eh.
Yeah. Oh, it's not that bad.
It's not that
It
bad.
doesn't hurt that much.
Mm-hmm.
You're just exaggerating. You're just making that up. Well, I've never seen it. It never happened to me, so it can't possibly be true. You see, I've experienced this a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I recommend not doing that when you're listening to somebody if you really want connection.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so that you said that you want to emphasize that it's important to start where the other person is when listening. What does that mean? We start with where they are. You mean like if they're angry, then you start by being angry too?
No. If they're angry, you want to start with their anger. So why are they angry? Start with that. So
Okay.
you're angry, and tell me about that anger. Let me listen to that. Start from there. But you have to stay calm in order to do that, because if you do immediately get angry, then you haven't done the C of core, right? Then you've already missed. So what you want to do is stay calm and go, okay, so tell me about why you're angry, and then slow down and hear what they say, and make sure that you've heard it right, and stay dialed in. Don't get that discomfort and pulled off, but really listen, and start from where they are. Then you have the opportunity to work it through all the way.
What if you're listening, you listen and they're saying why they're angry and you're hearing them, but you totally think what they're angry about is stupid. You're hearing them though.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to respond to that without necessarily negating them? That's the part I think a lot of people struggle, because they feel like if validating, saying, that's okay or whatever, that means that that they're correct in their assumption, the reason why that they're angry. So is there a middle ground where you can acknowledge that you heard them, but that you still disagree with their perception?
Here's one of the most important things I've learned in my life. So this is true, and this is true.
Oh,
So this
and
this is true. So this person's reality is their own. What they feel is real for them, and my truth is also mine. This is true, and this is true.
gotcha.
Profoundly life-altering when you can really start to apply that, but it's hard. That takes a lot of practice. I've had to work at that, to be honest. This is true, and this is true. So if somebody's upset like that, really being able to say, "Wow, I hear that, and I know that's your reality. This is what you think and feel about the situation. Absolutely. From your point of view, I see that's true, and for me, this is where I'm at." And it allows both of them, even if they don't seem like they can coexist, they really can, because we're all individuals and we can be in the same space and be different.
That makes so much sense. You're so good. Look at you. All my tough questions, you're just ha 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 ha.
I was actually quite intimidated coming into this because I watched some of your other interviews, Deb, and you actually listen really well to the people that you interview with. So I was feeling a little intimidated. I was like, wow, I don't know if I can match up with this woman. She's beautiful.
No, I vibe off the energy of the person, and you just give off good energy. And your topic is one that you obviously know very well. So I felt like we would have a good interview, even if I threw you a few curveballs, you'd be able to handle it. So let's talk about, the last question I have for you. So what would you say are the long-term or even short-term benefits of listening and then of being heard?
So the benefits of listening and being heard, first of all, is it really deepens relationships, right? When we're really heard and somebody hears us, it feels so good. It feels amazing. It's like to walk away from a conversation and have somebody go, wow, they really got it. There's nothing better. That just feels, as a human being, that's amazing. And when you have that with somebody, it really builds the relationship. It's like, you've probably heard before people talking about, pennies in the emotional piggy bank. It builds up that bank, right? It really strengthens our relationships. Next, I would say that it reduces our stress when we're is a benefit of being heard. Our stress goes down because when we just try to vent alone, right? Studies have shown that yelling into a pillow or yelling in our car, that doesn't bring the stress down nearly as much as connection with a human being. There have been studies done. And so I really believe that when we have that one-on-one connection, that it really benefits us as human beings. Our physical being is impacted by our emotional health.
Wow. So this is a void that your company has stepped in to fill.
Yes.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit more about that. Like, where can people find you and find out some more information about what you do?
So our website is hearingoutLifeDrama.com, and we do have more information about what we do on our website. We have listening appointments in 15, 30, or 45 minutes. People can choose. Some people aren't comfortable talking via Zoom, so we also offer just telephone, and or people that don't like those, either one, we'll just text. So we just wanted to make sure anybody could reach us and connect in a way they were comfortable. Yeah. So connect the way you're comfortable. So choose the thing that's comfortable for you. That's what we hope people will do. Absolutely. And the booking appointments are all online, so it's pretty simple to go to our booking page and choose your session.
Okay, that sounds really good. And you had mentioned that you wanted to make some kind of offer to my audience. What would that special fun project be?
I would love to offer your listeners a discount, 20% off for anybody that uses a code at booking, winning at life. I love the winning at life. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the at symbol, so make sure you put winning at life. I don't know.
All spelled out, winning.
All spelled out. Yeah,
right,
use
gotcha.
all the letters. Yep.
Okay.
So we'll give you 20% off good through the month of February. If you need a listener, I really hope, sincerely hope that you have people in your life who will listen to you. But we're also aware that sometimes people aren't ready to enter into a therapy relationship. It can feel like a lot, and sometimes a friend or family member just isn't the right person. So we're kind of something a little bit different.
I like that. Yeah, you're right, because sometimes your family and friends are too emotionally invested in whatever their perception of what should be the outcome. So you can't really just talk to them. They're going to start trying to tell you what to do or judging what you think. And it just becomes, then, I can see that. And it would merge into what you were talking about. You have to suddenly flip over and start managing their emotions.
Exactly.
Talk about yours.
Right?
Oh, the headache of it all. Well,
That's
it. So much for stopping in and being a part of Debruary. This was wonderful, and I think it'll be very, very useful information for the viewers. And I really appreciate you giving us your time.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I'm really grateful to talk to you and to meet you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that was Deb Porter. Everybody, be sure to check in the show description down below. You will find links to her website and the discount code, which is going to be good through the entire month of Debruary 2022. So you guys hang out. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, be sure to become one so that you don't miss out on any of the notifications that come through for uploads and new booked guests. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you real soon.